Trey Lance and Patrick Mahomes are working out together. The coach is Jeff Christensen, who played in the league, drafted in 1983 in that legendary class. Didn't play a lot in the league, but was in the league for about 5 years. And, I mean, has worked with some serious coaches. It's quarterbacks. If you don't know his story real quick, he worked with Kirk Cousins, been working with Patrick Mahomes. But this is the dude. He went to Eastern Illinois. He was based in Chicago. He started working with Jimmy Garoppolo in high school when Jimmy was a pitcher and a middle linebacker. And he showed this guy how to throw a spiral and how to throw with a quick release. He basically built Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo was just a high school athlete. He got his hands on him and told his dad, this guy's going to make $100 million in the NFL. The dad was like, what? And Jimmy put his head down and learned all this stuff. So this guy's legit. He basically saw it with Jimmy like in high school and spoken into existence. I'm going to make this guy $100 million.
Yeah.
I mean, we pointed out what Trey's problem is. He's mechanically a little wonky. His lower body and upper body aren't always in sync, which causes sometimes his release point to be back here. And he's pushing the ball. It leads to arm fatigue, and it leads to inaccuracy. All that stuff is on tape. He's working with a guy who's fixed this in the past. I think this is big. That's my main takeaway, is that he's working on what he needs to work on with a guy who's had proven results in this field, and now he just needs to build the muscle memory. We don't know how long that'll take. It could be years. It could be months. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I love it. I mean, so we saw 2 videos. We saw 2 passes, right? Based on those passes, his throwing motion looks shorter, right? It looks better. It looks quicker. It looks more balanced.
Also, I felt like he was getting full extension on the release. Like you can't see his lower body, but you can see the ball coming off his fingers, and his arm is all the way out in front. You go back and look at some of his throws from training camp last year. It's much more 3/4, and he releases it closer to his shoulder because his front leg is already locked out. His lower body's done doing work, and so he's basically pushing the ball the rest of the way. Now I feel like it's a much more fluid motion where the ball, he's getting full extension on his release because his lower body hasn't finished the motion already. It's all in sync now. That's the way I see it. Maybe it's just one throw in practice, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is it's only 2 videos, so who knows if it's actually going to, like you said, become muscle memory and change everything. But, I mean, the thing about Trey Lance that makes me confident in him and his ability to eventually become good is he really has everything you could want outside of experience. He has, the mental, the physical, the attitude, the work ethic. And typically guys like that, when they work hard, they're going to improve. And so I think at some point, Trey Lance is going to improve, whether it's soon enough for the 49ers to see it or whether it's soon enough to where he stays on the Niners, right? Those are 2 different questions. But I feel like Trey Lance at some point is going to improve. I don't think there's really a doubt in my mind that he's unable to improve at some point. So this is perfect. And Jeff Christensen, like you said, trained Jimmy Garoppolo. So if he can help, Trey with the quick release, the short ball accuracy, if you combine that with everything that Trey Lance has naturally, like the deep ball and his mobility, I mean, he could be really good. I think this is the best case scenario for who he should be training with. And not only that, you have Patrick Mahomes next to you, which is greatness. You're working out with greatness every single day. I think it's the best case scenario. And I sent out a text to my source within the Niners to see if he knows who initiated this workout, and he hasn't responded with an answer yet. But I'll be curious to find out whether or not like the 49ers set this up or whether Trey Lance did or how that transpired, because I think that's an interesting part of it.
Trey Lance reminds me a little bit of this kid I went to high school with. He's a professional athlete. Tyson Ross. I don't know if you ever heard of Tyson Ross. He pitched for the A's. He pitched for the Padres. Yeah, I mean, he was an all-star. He's 6'5", always the biggest kid. He played Babe Ruth in Oakland. I never played against him as a kid, but he was always famous as a kid. The big kid in Oakland. We all knew who he was. And he was so gifted, so much bigger than us, that he could his throwing motion, even in the pros, if you saw him, he was all arm. He slung that ball 97 miles an hour with his arm. So gifted. But he got hurt a lot because he didn't really use his legs that much. Didn't have to. And I feel like that's Trey. Like his throwing motion the last 2 years has been very much all arm. His legs don't do a lot of work for him. In fact, they get in the way sometimes, and he's doing a lot of like pushing and muscling, which he can do, like Tyson can do. Because look at them. They're freaking huge. They're really gifted. But over time, it's a bad habit, hurts you. And the thing about Tyson was interesting. He had a younger brother named Joey Ross, who was also in the major leagues. But when I was in high school, he was like in elementary school. He was really little. He had a growth spurt way later than Tyson. And he didn't learn to throw like Tyson. He didn't throw all arm. He threw with his whole body. He had much better mechanics than Tyson. Ended up having, I believe, a little bit more of a consistent career than Tyson. Hey, Tyson, forgive me if I'm wrong. Joey, I love both you guys. But they definitely had very different throwing motions. And I think it's because Joey's just grew later. He had a more fluid throwing motion. I think that's what Trey's trying to learn. Like, yeah, man, you've been able to do this your whole life. You've been able to be the guy who can just go out there and freaking sling it, But now you're with the best athletes in the world, and you need to refine this. And I think he gets it.
Yeah, I mean, you see that with a lot of athletes, like even coaching basketball. The kids that are naturally athletic, faster, jump higher, their skill set tends to not be as good as the kids that didn't have that athleticism, because the kids without that athleticism had to learn that skill set in order to get by. Yeah, so you can see that a lot of times. But like you said, I think Trey Lance gets it, man. He's obviously working with the right people. There's really nothing in my mind that says, okay, this guy cannot get better. I just, if he gets an opportunity.
If he were like Kaepernick, sorry, Colin, but if he were like Kaepernick and was like, mechanics, I'm not that big into mechanics. If he ever said something like that, I'd be out. That's when I was out on Colin. There was a time when I thought Colin would have a better career than Andrew Luck. But as soon as he said that, I'm like, I'm out. Yeah. Because you have to constantly dedicate yourself to your craft like Brady and Breeze and Steve Young did. I think Lance is that kind of guy.
And to be fair, man, Kaepernick's mechanics were way worse than Trey Lance's. Yes. Way worse. Like he was like
way longer
baseball,
That's true. Way longer release. Yeah. Official B&M Music 88 says Brock Purdy and Sam Darnold era sounds horrible. I see dead people and grab my strong hand. The uncertainty of Trey, it's at least has promise. Yesterday I was watching zombie movies because it was Easter, you know what I'm saying? And I watched Evil Dead 2. Dude, Evil Dead 2. I've never seen that. Movie's hilarious. He has to like kill his hand. His hand attacks him, and his hand's like beating him over the head with dishes and stuff, and then he cuts his hand off, and then he has to shoot the hand, but then he misses the hand. The hand's on the loose. It's pretty funny. The hand's like flipping him off and stuff. Funny movie. Have you seen this?
Which one?
I've never seen it. Evil Dead 2. It came out in 1987. It's a cult classic. Hilarious.
I know they made video games out of that, though, I think.
Yeah, Doom. Yeah. Doom is essentially based on that movie. Christensen focuses on the feet like Walsh. Yes, and I think this is so important for Trey because his feet don't do the work for him. Throwing doesn't have to be that hard. With Trey, you can like hear him grunting almost. You can see the grunt. It doesn't have to be that hard. If it's a fluid motion, it's almost easy. And he needs to make it easier for him. Your legs make it easy for you.
One thing I did notice, though, about those videos, I don't know if anyone noticed this, but Patrick Mahomes seemed like he's using a lot more elbow torque than Trey Lance was. Like, I'm being honest. Like,
the thing with Mahomes, to me, and I think it's what I saw with Steve Young when I was a kid, they don't look like they're throwing hard. I was talking to my friend about it. He put it like this. They look like they're throwing pillows. There is just a softness to what they're doing. And I think it helps them, locate the ball and be accurate. Like with Trey and with Kaepernick back in the day, they're freaking gunning it. And with Trey, you can learn, man, you don't have to throw it that hard. It's great to be able to throw it that hard. There's going to be times that you need to fit the ball into tight windows. But a lot of the time, watch how Patrick Mahomes throws the ball, man. He's just laying it up there like he's throwing a pillow.
What I did notice is weird, though, is I want, go back and watch that video. You watch Patrick Mahomes' elbow. It comes way higher.
I know what you mean.
Than Trey Lance's does. I thought that was interesting.
I thought it was interesting, too. He just has so much control of the ball. Ryan, shop smart, shop S smart. I don't get it.
I don't know.
At Ryan, shop smart, shop S smart. I don't get it. Gammon Brown. I don't get it.
I'll try to shop smart, man. I do, actually. My wife hates it.
I don't shop smart.